Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Ogden, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show. The kid is freaking love it.
UCLA. You're listening to Brett Hundley and Company. What's brewing?
Down here, it's our time.
We're going to get down to business.
Putting pressure on the quarterback, great turnover.
Boom.
It's our time down here.
This guy has a lot of athleticism.
Yes! In the face! The UCLA offense.
Oh, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes.
The red zone now for UCLA.
How about this guy? Jake.
I love you.
He's going to throw it, and UCLA scores it.
Bill.
Stay away from the can! They got playmakers out there.
Mike.
Careful, man. There's a beverage here, huh?
Hey, welcome to What's Bruin, a podcast about everything that's important in life, UCLA Bruins. With me today and with me for the rest of this whole entire podcast is Jake. Say what's up, Jake.
How you doing?
Jake is an amazing Bruin fan and alumni, most importantly. Next, we have Mike W.R., the producer of this darn show, an amazing guy. Mike, say what's up.
What's up?
Hey, good. And also a Bruin fan and alum. And finally, myself, Bill, a Bruin fan and alum. So what does that mean? Why do we care about
Wow.
That was the
Flashback.
original episode of the What's
That
Bruin
was the
Show.
very first. You could tell by the echo in the room,
the bad
in,
mics,
in your front,
amazing production.
your living room.
Yeah. I think I was
wow.
in Bill's dining room is where that was. But I think that opening salvo was.
Wow.
So yeah, 11 years later, we sound slightly
I was
better.
like,
just
like
slightly.
Jake, wait, this is a different intro. What is happening here? Yeah, no, that was the original intro that we had 11 years ago.
Way back when.
Insane.
Yeah,
wow.
so that was the start of the What's Bruin Show. 11 years later, here we are. It's me and Mike here on the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show Network. Thank you very much for your support. We are at What's Bruin Show on Twitter. We're What's Bruin Show at gmail.com on the email. We have look in the show notes for all the information about the show. We just went through it. We just had a super mega episode with me and Mike and Bill and Jamaal and Jim, the Godfather, Ben Dat, talking about our Big Ten predictions and our UCLA season predictions. So that was a whole heck of a lot of fun. That was like an hour and a half of podcast for you just in the last show before this one. So we'll skip a lot of the rigmarole we're going to get to early, what we normally would have. And Mike, I wanted to play that little bit of sound on the show with Bill on as well, but I'm sure he'll listen to this later and let me know what he thinks of that. But we're heading into our 11th season covering UCLA football, and I'm thankful you're still here with me, buddy. Thank you very much. And we're looking forward to this great UCLA season, which all of us kind of feel we went around the round table a few minutes ago, and we all think that at worst the Bruins are going to go bowling this year, despite the expectations of many other outlets out there.
Yeah.
So
we're bringing some positivity to those that I'm not calling people out, but it's clear that they don't know UCLA, especially like we know UCLA.
Well, and by the way, we may be completely deluded and they may suck. I mean, that's certainly a possibility.
Here's one thing. This is why I think UCLA is doing well. I remember when watching UCLA during those first 3 seasons of the Chip Kelly era, those practices were abysmal. Like, you could tell, like, wow, there's
Chip Kelly?
not a lot of talent on here. At practice this year, spring ball, fall ball, not like that at all. There's some talent on this team, and I think a lot of pundits are missing that.
Well, and look, my point basically being is we talked about this last show. UCLA is completely under the radar because of the generic storylines of they lost their coach to a team in conference. They lost their defensive coordinator to their rival. They lost a bunch of players to the NFL. They lost a bunch of players to their rival. They hired a coach 2 months late, and all of those things. And they lost their 5-star quarterback who turned out not to be as great as everybody thought. At least not last year. A lot of things that you could paint
a lot of turnover,
a non-rosy picture of the Bruins.
Yeah.
However, when you look at what the Bruins actually are heading this year, me and you and the rest of our crew kind of feel like they are a little bit better. So on the spectrum of
UCLA, who's very beatable this year.
From the spectrum of that to the spectrum of this.
Is this an 11-1 team that's going to the playoff with a shot at the Natty?
I think we're all kind of in the we all kind of have the idea that it's like somewhere probably in the middle of those things.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that's fine, and that's good. It makes me look forward to this season in a way that I haven't in a while because, quite frankly, the last couple Chip Kelly seasons, even though there were nice things about those seasons, they were good seasons in some respects. They were seasons that, at the end of the day, they underachieved in because they lost some horrible games they had no business losing, and there was all the baggage of Chip Kelly. And there was all the, the animosity that built up just around the program. And we don't have any of that right now. And that, for me, is a refreshing way to go into a season. It's nice. Does it feel like maybe people are overlooking the Bruins? Yeah, it does. But it's understandable. And I'm not mad at nobody because it kind of feels good just to be able to have the ability to be underrated and to overperform. And that's where we think the Bruins are this year.
Yeah, exactly. There are just so many questions, but I think that the assumptions are what's taking hold of the Big Ten media and the national media. Just pundits that are claiming that UCLA is only going to be 2-10. Critics that are saying that they're going into a tougher conference, which no, it's not necessarily a tougher conference. I was on Twitter. I was doing a friendly argument with some people, and someone would say that UCLA is going to get killed in the Big Ten. Like, why though? When you look at like the RPI from last year, it was the SEC, the Pac-12, and then the Big Ten by not a small margin, but a lot of that stuff, it takes into account who the opponents were, total overall conference wins, stuff like that. The Pac-12 is not. It's not a flimsy. Rest in peace. It was not a flimsy conference. The years before last, or the last two, we could say that definitely the conference was eating itself, and so whoever survived at the end was going to make it to was going to be Pac-12 champion. But by that time, they were so beaten. I mean, there were so many years that a Pac-12 team did not make the college football playoff. And, people use that as like, the Pac-12, it sucks. No, it doesn't suck. There's just different aspects to each conference. Like last year, the Pac-12... They
didn't have the top end team, but
exactly.
They certainly were good in the middle.
Last year they did. I would say from top down, the Pac-12 was a way better offensive team than the Big Ten, and from top down, the Big Ten was a way better defensive conference than the Pac-12. It depends on how you look at it, and it's going to be interesting to see how these four new Big Ten teams with their offensive prowess go into a conference that is very defensive minded.
And if you want to hear our thoughts on that, listen to the last episode, because there's a whole lot of that talk. Mm-hmm. Here on this episode, we're going to get specifically into the Hawaii game.
Yeah, first game of the season, baby.
That's right. We can't wait. And it's coming at us at an alarming pace. It'll be here before you know it on Saturday at 4:30 on CBS. And neither of us are going to that game, but we will both be watching that game. So we got a lot to say. Mike, do you have any bro-affiliated headlines for us today at all that you want to get to before we get on to anything else?
The UCLA men's basketball team put out their non-conference schedule. And it looks pretty easy except for the end. Gonzaga, Arizona, North Carolina. There you go. That's your bro-affiliated headline.
Good.
Hi, bro.
I did have one thing.
Gabriela Jaquez, was cleaning things up for Mexico in the FIBA. What was it?
Very nice.
21. Either way, but Jake, I usually disagree with you about that. It's never too early for basketball talk, but right now,
I would like to avoid the basketball shows for as long as possible.
I think right now, because of the time in space as it is right now, it's football time, Jake.
Hi, bro.
All right, good. So the other thing, I know you guys ran an article about the depth chart Any thoughts on the UCLA depth chart? I'm not going to spend a half hour talking about it because I think it's ridiculous.
No, I don't think any surprises. The one big surprise, I think, was the fact that walk-on receiver Carter Shaw, son of David Shaw, former Stanford head coach, made the two deep.
Wow.
But other than that, no surprises. We didn't have any ors, QB1 or QB2 or QB3. No, it was Ethan Garbers, then Justin
Why
Martin.
would we have a bunch of ors?
It was TJ Harden, then Keegan Jones.
Yeah,
exactly. There's not a lot of surprises.
You know who likes a lot of ors? Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
Thanks a lot for Coach. That's
exactly,
one of his legacies.
Exactly.
Chip Kelly.
All right, moving on from
just one more aside. I was the last 2 days I've been looking on YouTube and listening to podcasts to see what people think of UCLA, going into more of what we've basically been doing the last month. It just shows how much a lot of people don't do a deep dive into certain teams. There was this one guy who obviously he had Ethan Garbers as a starter, but he had I'm blanking on his last name right now, DeMarcus, the transfer, as QB2. No, he's at very best maybe QB4 because even this week, Deshaun Foster, and granted this was a month ago that he did his podcast, but this week Deshaun Foster said that Justin Martin is for sure QB2, and behind that I can imagine it's Chase Griffin and then everybody else.
No, Mike, it just we shouldn't expect
DeMarcus Davis. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, but it's just ridiculous. Of course, we're going to know that, but guys that are just kind of taking a peek at the Bruin roster aren't going to know really anything, and that's when you get the wonderful drops like we had last week, right? The Chase Gabers, stuff, and stuff like that. So it's just unbelievable. I'm
Eth Gabers.
Whatever it is.
I love it.
So I mean, with that being said, we're excited about this season, and we're excited about this. Oh, here it is.
Chase Gabers at quarterback.
My name is
Ethan.
Just call me Eve.
Especially until we get in the season, there's gonna be a lot of that. So yeah. Let's not be overly offended by something that's probably pretty expected. But with that being said, let's get to UCLA Football Tech and this game that will be for the first time in 20.
Hit that button,
The
Jake.
whole game was in December, so here we go.
Blue 32, California, hood, hey! Football. It's the game that will be. It's the game that will be, yo. It's the game that will be.
Jake.
Yes.
I wait for that drop every summer.
It's fun. It's good to have it back.
It is Cobra Nose, wife of Cobra Nose. It's one of her favorite drops as well.
Oh, how could it not be? Mike, you really, hit a bunch of themes out of the ballpark early in the show's history. And since the well's kind of dried up a little bit, Mike. I mean, we used some creative energy, Mike, to get some new drops.
Oh, I got more.
Big Ten stuff.
I got more.
Come on, Mike. You start. Get
right. I know, right?
In the fire.
Oh, I already have notes that we got to do a Big Ten talk. We need to do. There was another one you asked me about, which I have, in my reminders. But I just, being a dad and stuff like that.
Mike, I totally understand.
Yeah, totally.
I'm constantly trying to get stuff done and not getting it done.
By the way, Jake, you have been killing it with all the extra content.
Thanks.
You have, I started the Instagram, but you have just
follow us on Instagram.
You took it out of my hands and you ran that for a 20-yard touchdown. Cheers to you.
Thanks, Mike. We both need to be getting stuff up there, so that's good. Yeah. We're trying. So subscribe on Instagram as well. I think it's at What's Bruin Show. Anywho, UCLA minus 14 points at Hawaii.
Which is weird because that went from 13.5 to 14 after the Hawaii game. My assumption is, I think the odds makers looked at what Hawaii was and just gave UCLA a little bit of an edge.
But did it open higher than that? Was it at like 20 or something, or was it always at 13, 14?
I thought it was. I think it opened at 13.5.
Fair enough. Very good. It will be at Clarence Ching Athletic Complex, which holds how many people, Mike?
It was 9,000, and it's been opened up to 15,000.
Wow, that's pretty good.
From what we've been told, and we're going to hear the specifics on this from a Mr. Stephen Tsai, who's a reporter out there in Honolulu, it's their practice facility. So can you imagine, let's say UCLA did have, let's say UCLA had Drake Stadium as their home stadium. that has been deteriorating. The Aloha Bowl has been deteriorating from what he said. He goes into specifics, but it's basically an all-metal stadium, and being right there on the beach by the ocean, the rust has gone a little bit. It's just been insane to where it shut itself down.
Well, more on that in a minute because we're going to play that interview in just a few minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. They're basically playing in their practice facility. This is basically as if UCLA would be playing at Spalding Field and they just put bleachers around it.
Crazy. The game is at 4:30 p.m. It's going to be on CBS.
1:30 Island time.
As one of my sports show idols, Gary Parrish says, it's America's most watched network of stars, CBS. That's where the Bruins will be this Saturday. So, I'm looking forward to this. Let's get right into it with, how about some trivia?
Now it's time for Jake's Trivia, brought to you by Jake, bringing you all the coolest trivia of UCLA football's opponent for this coming week. And now, Jake.
So getting this trivia, Mikey, I wasn't sure if we were just going to be me and you. By the time we got here, I was thinking it was probably going to be just me and you because I knew that last show was going to last a while. But, I got a couple questions for you. If you can answer them, great. If you can't, guess what? I have a lot of stuff
Jake.
To a lot of information based on these.
I've been immersing myself in Hawaiian culture, which includes longboard.
God.
Brought to you by Kona Brewing.
We really should have done a symposium by now.
Oh, we
That's
were the
amazing.
only two that did it in.
We're the ones drinking right
had
now.
a drink in episode 1. So
yeah, we'll do
screw
a symposium.
those guys.
Yeah, that's right. Good job, Kona Brewing. We love you. So, Mike, I'll ask you. You're looking at a beer right there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cheat. How do you actually spell Hawaii?
HAWAI''.
Oh my God!
Hells yeah! And the proper pronunciation, Hawaii.
Okay, that is
I think
99% correct. The only thing I would say is me and you say apostrophe.
Yeah. Oh.
They say Okina.
Oh.
Or I think that's how it's pronounced.
Nice.
Okina. If I'm not pronouncing it right, I apologize, but I am striving to learn.
My
My
kids love trivia, and so occasionally I'll just bring up random stuff that they might not know, which whatever. Just like cutesy stuff, especially when it comes to like their schooling, like geography. So one of the questions I blew their minds with is, what is the only? I mean, this is probably wrong, but I was blowing their minds at the time. What is the only United States state that has its own language?
What is it, Mike?
Hawaii.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm glad you brought that up because
it just hit me. Alaska might have its own, but who cares?
Probably does. Who cares?
There are like 15 people in that.
Right now we're
state.
talking Hawaii, Mike. So I said, how do you spell Hawaii?
Yes.
And it is HAWAI. And then what we're calling an apostrophe, but what is actually called Nokina.
Nokina?
I.
You don't get this in any other UCLA podcast. I'm just saying.
That little mark is called the Okina, and it's actually an official consonant in the Hawaiian language. It represents what's called a glottal stop. To practice pronouncing the Okina, say the word uh-oh. That break between the syllables when you clear your throat is the same kind of break you'll insert when you see the Okina. So, Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah.
And there you go. Not only does Okina change the pronunciation of the word, but it can also change the meaning. For example, and I might be screwing up this pronunciation, so bear with me, my PI friends.
Okay.
I love you all. K-O-U, right? I would say ku means yours.
K-O-U, okay.
I would say that ku, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But K-O Okina, you. So that would be ko-u.
Ko-u, yeah.
That means mine. So ku means yours.
Oh.
And ko-u means mine.
Kind of like...
Once again, please bear with me with the pronunciation.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best. I love you all.
Yeah, we're California boys. We know what we know.
Hey,
I was just going to say, I was going to liken it to porque in Spanish, why, and porque, because.
Oh, shit.
Right?
I didn't even know there was a difference there. I just thought it was why and because.
That shit blew my mind in sophomore year Spanish.
Well, we're both mind blown right now. So you say, hey, I didn't realize that. Mike just brought it up. Hawaii has got, the Hawaiians have their own language, and it's their own letters that are, don't fall into the same register as the English alphabet. That's true. Right? Or it's the same, only different. Not
Grecian alphabet. Now we're getting historical here.
Before Christian missionaries arrived in the early 19th century, the Hawaiian language is entirely oral. It belonged to the same family as the other languages found around Polynesia. fact, Captain James Cook, visited the Hawaiian Islands in the late 18th century, and he was able to use words from the Tahitian and the Maori, that's New Zealand, dialects to communicate with the Hawaiians. Pretty rad, okay? Because the Christian missionaries wanted to share their religion with the Hawaiians, big shock, I know.
Thanks, guys.
One of the first tasks, hey, let's go. It just mixed everybody up. It's all good, right? One of the first tasks was translating the Bible into Hawaiian. For that, hey, we wouldn't have this goddamn game right now this week if this didn't happen, Mike. I'm thankful for all this. Things happen for a reason. For that, they need to create a written version of the Hawaiian language. Okay, so out of that project, the written Hawaiian language was born. After a few revisions, it now consists of 3, count them 1, 2, 3, components. 8 consonants. 8. Only 8.
Wow.
H, K, L, M, N, P, W, and the Okina, that little apostrophe mark, is counted as a consonant. Okay? They got 5 vowels. Same ones we got, A, E, I, O, U. And then, I'm going to work on this.
Okay.
Kakaho, a horizontal line that appears over the vowel to add stress and length to the vowel. That's, so there you go. Yeah. Right? So those are the 3 components of the Hawaiian language. How do you like that, Mike? Does that just blow your mind?
Hells yeah. This is a history lesson, Jake. We're getting football and history.
There we go. So that's your first bit of trivia. I hope you enjoyed that. Go Bruins.
Go Bruins.
Mike, second trivia. Mike, second question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the name of the offensive system run by the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii?
Oh, currently?
Yeah.
Ooh. Run and shoot?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Perfect. Bingo, Mike. You got it right. Now, did you know the run and shoot offense has been around since the late 60s, early 70s. It originated at the high school level with Coach Glenn Ellison in Hawaii, and then made the jump to college at Portland State with offensive coordinator Darryl Mouse Davis. His version of the offense was very simplified. In that, it only contained 3 running plays and 5 passing plays. Kind of like, I think, a Mazzoni end zone offense.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
That simple. The run and shoot hit its cultural peak in what decade, do you think, Mike? I know as well because I
80s?
was... Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The mid-'80s to like the mid-'90s was the peak of the run and shoot. In the mid-'80s, early 90s with what coach, Mike? This is all going to come full circle, but you got to know the origins of it, baby. What coach, Mike? Double J.
Hune
Hones. June Jones.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
June Jones. He had a pretty good quarterback in Houston by the name of Warren Moon. And then later, he was in Atlanta with some crappy quarterbacks like Billy Joe Tolliver, Chris Miller, and Bobby Hebert. Should be noted that Jones, who had the run and shoot offense, had it in college and then in the pros, he later landed in the Aloha State as Hawaii's head coach in 1999. And from 2000 to 2004, he coached what Hawaiian superstar to the all-time NCAA passing record at the time of 17,072 yards.
Timmy Chang.
The coach of
the current
University of
coach.
Hawaii right now. Thank you. So it all
that
comes
dude
full
was
circle.
a baller when he was at Hawaii. I remember
absolutely.
I remember hearing about him and watching him, and just by his senior year, and he did play 5 years, I believe, at Hawaii. Was just putting up just insane numbers.
Absolutely. And by the way, Mike, just as a little side thing, who was his backup quarterback who later went on to coach in the Pac-12 and then resign in semi-disgrace just a few years ago?
Oh, God, what was his name? Rolovich?
Yeah, Nick Rolovich.
Yeah,
there you go. Small world, right?
Take the shot.
Or not. I think he might have been vindicated at this point. No politics. Run and shoot.
America.
Oh, yeah. By the way, that deserves this, though. I mean, however you feel.
The government totally sucks, you motherfucker. The government totally sucks.
Whatever.
Hey, we are a free-thinking podcast.
Stand with Rolo, stand with Newsom, whatever. We're somewhere in between. Man, it's all good. F everybody. Mike, the run and shoot offense was used to create personnel matchups. Tell me if this sounds like anything that maybe became popular later on in life, right? With more receivers on the field, the defense could substitute smaller defenders, or the defense would substitute smaller defenders to cover those more receivers on the field. In turn, that allowed the offense to use larger running backs against the smaller defenders. The run and shoot offense has a heavy emphasis on motion and option routes with the receivers. So those motions help determine help the offense determine what coverages the defense is in, right? So similar to, think Mike Leach in the air raid. Okay.
That was instantly going to the air raid.
It uses a lot of spread formations and 4 receiver sets, right? The calling card of the run and shoot has typically been like quarterback sprint outs and option routes with the receivers. 4 wide, quarterback sprint outs. That's pretty much your run and shoot. It evolved into the spread offense, which goes to shotgun but basically the idea of the run and shoot, which was ahead of its time, was getting guys, spreading them out, letting individuals make big plays, and getting utilizing the whole field. So there's very few teams that just run quote unquote run and shoot nowadays, but the run and shoot is in pretty much every offense out there. There's concepts from it, so that's something that shouldn't be. I know when I was a kid, the run and shoot turned into something where guys were saying, "Oh, that thing, it doesn't work at all." And then it kind of turned into like the spread offense. People were saying, "Nobody with a spread offense ever won a national championship." And then like 10 years later, everyone does a spread. It wins everything. And in the same way, the run and shoot offense is a part of every offense. So it's just there's a long legacy
it's adaptable
for that. Absolutely. So that's your little primer on the run and shoot offense. We already learned something about the Hawaiian language. The last trivia for you, Mike, okay, is this. There are 2 Hawaiian Rainbow Warriors that have brothers on the UCLA's team, or
I know this,
that are current or maybe within a couple years. Okay, so Mike, the easy one, the layup, is someone we saw. If you watched the Delaware State game, you saw him catch a touchdown and drop a pass. That is none other than who, Mikey?
Sergio Muasau, who is the younger brother of Darius Muasau.
Yeah. That's the offensive lineman, right? Yeah, absolutely. That was the one I thought that less people would know.
He's a linebacker, right?
That was a
linebacker.
No, he's like a 300-pound lineman.
Okay, maybe, Oh, sure.
That's all right.
Sure.
That's probably the most we're going to say about him. And then the other one is number 8, Tamatoa Mokiao Atamalala.
Yes. Brother of Titus Mokiao Atamalala.
Yeah, and I have no idea whether we said it right, so we're going to let you be the judge. I'm going to play their pronunciation given to you by them right now and make fools of me and Mike. Okay, Mike, you ready?
Ready.
Here's the first.
Titus Mokiao Atamalala.
Mokiao.
There's Titus.
I was giving him an extra syllable, extra vowel.
And here's his brother.
Tamatoa Mokiao Atamalala.
So
nice.
At the very least, I feel better because they both pronounce the same way. So we're not getting one of those things where, like, I know there's players out there who have a name and they'll pronounce it one way, and then another way. So consistency, I like that good. And something about the Pacific Islander languages that I always appreciate is like if you just focus and just try to pronounce every syllable or vowel, generally you're getting it right.
Wait, I mean, which
there's still tongue twisters,
which you usually can do with like a lot of Polynesian names. You pronounce it was like Spanish names too, Mexican names. You pronounce every letter.
So I mean that it's just you have to really focus in there because it all kind of jumbles together sometimes.
Well, I learned something. I've been pronouncing it Mokiao. It's Mokiao. Nice.
Titus Mokiao Atamalala.
Love it.
Titus Mokiao Atamalala. We're not going to be intimidated because he's going to have a big ass season.
800 yards receiving this year.
Kicking ass. And then also, Darius Muasau has a brother on Hawaii as well. So I joked with Jamaal last.
Sergio Muasau.
Yeah, Sergio. I joked with Jamaal last time, like who's in the Cal pipeline coming to UCLA. But honestly, like I'll create a Hawaii pipeline. That's good. Bring more players. Let's come to the Bruins. We got Darius from Hawaii after playing them a couple years ago, and then honestly, a friend of the show, one of my favorite Grizzly players of all time, who's no longer Grizzly, Stephen Bethley. He now this is my football team that I run in law enforcement. But his brother played at Hawaii and then transferred to ASU. That's none other than Corey Bethley. Corey Bethley. I kept telling my Bethley, Stephen, that he should have gone to UCLA. I don't know why he didn't. Probably because Chip Kelly's kind of a dick. I don't know. But you never. Who knows?
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
But with that being said, look, we got a couple brothers on the team, and it's fun. And so there's a trivia. So let's get away from the trivia, Mikey, and let's get on with the rest of the game that will be. Fight! Okay, Mikey. So as we just talked about earlier, Timmy Chang is the Hawaii head coach. They have a new DC, and this DC has some local ties. It's none other than Dennis Thurman, who played at USC, played for the Cowboys as a defensive back. And this brings us to another Colorado connection. Did you know that Dennis Thurman was he was a defensive coordinator in New York and Buffalo a number of years ago, and then he resurfaced as Dion's original defensive coordinator when he was at Jackson State.
Yeah.
And then he was a quality control coach, not the DC at Colorado last year. And then he took the job here at Hawaii. So
so he does have Pac-12 / West Coast connections.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you did an interview with a Hawaiian beat reporter for the Star Adventurer.
The Honolulu Star Advertiser.
Oh, Advertiser or Adventurer?
Advertiser.
Did I read that wrong? Don't you think it would be cool if your paper was named the Star Adventurer?
That'd be
I
cool.
was like, oh my God, that'd be awesome. But anyways, it was the Star Advertiser.
Yes.
Okay, that's a little more capitalistic.
Stephen Tsai.
Stephen Tsai. Anyways, Mike, thanks for doing the interview. I regret that I wasn't able to be on the interview because we had a lot of stuff to do today.
Funny dude.
But you came through. So now here is our, was our first bit of our information about the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors with Mike and Stephen Tsai.
And joining us on the What's Bruin hotline is Stephen Tsai from the Honolulu Star Advertiser. He covers Hawaii football, basketball, and baseball. Stephen, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. What about you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm not in Hawaii like you. I do love Los Angeles, but man, to be in Hawaii, to be covering sports, oh man, what's that like? And just to start off this conversation, what's it like covering Hawaii athletics?
Actually better to watch Hawaii, to watch sports in Hawaii because of the time difference. So NFL games sometimes start at 6 or 7 in the morning, so you can watch a couple of games and have the whole afternoon free. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of things to do in Hawaii.
Yeah, and the time zone, I'm sure that it really affects you. And I was thinking about it last week when I was watching the Hawaii-Delaware State game. The game started at 9 p.m. Pacific time, which means Delaware fans had to stay up until midnight to watch that game. That is
right, just for the kickoff.
That's just wild.
They're fortunate there was a game because they had so much trouble getting out here. I think it took them 2 extra days to get out here, and they had to take 4 different flights. So it's quite an adventure for Delaware State.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's just wild. And on top of it, a 10.5 hour flight from Delaware to Honolulu. That's bonkers.
That's a lot of streaming movies.
Yeah. Well, really quickly, how long have you been covering Hawaii with the Star Advertiser?
I've been with the newspaper for 43 years, and I believe this is my 35th year doing the Hawaii football.
Cheers! Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm old in dirt, so slightly younger than dirt.
It's if you love it and you can wake up and do the same thing, that's just fantastic. I envy you, sir.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm not digging ditches, so it's not hard work. And I actually have a relative who does dig ditches, so yeah, I don't ever complain.
You're right. That is quite a long time to be covering Hawaii football. In that time, what's one of the most memorable events you've been able to witness covering, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball?
Well, basketball. I was one of our beat guys was going to cover a basketball game, but his wife and him were having. I think they're going to labor or something like that. So he told me to take over, and so I went to a basketball game, and that's where I saw Chaminade upset Virginia in basketball. So I got really lucky on that one. So I got to cover that, and that was one of the greatest upset in college basketball, with Chaminade beating number 1 Virginia with Ralph Sampson.
That's right. We kind of forget out here on the mainland that Chaminade's out there as well, especially since they're the hosts of the Maui Invitational.
Right, and during that game they had this because they had the Aloha Bowl around the same week. they had this young reporter, some guy named Michael Wilbon was out here. So that was kind of interesting to finally see a guy start off his career with Washington Post and kind of take off from there.
Nice. Well, let's get into it. UCLA is at Hawaii. This is only the fourth time both teams have met. The last time UCLA was in Hawaii to play Hawaii was in 1939 in the Pineapple Bowl. A lot of things are different since then. But before we get into the game,
I think air travel is different. I'm not sure if they. I know that a lot of teams used to come over by boat, so I don't know how long that used to take. But yeah, it's a little different back then.
Seriously, now you can have a charter flight. Oh, we'll be there in a few hours. We'll be fine.
Right. I think 1939 is also when The Wizard of Oz came out. But that's how long it's been.
Oh, man, there's no place like home. Okay, I had to throw that in there. Really quickly, before we get into the game, if you can just quickly break down what is going on with Hawaii's stadium situation.
Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, the Lowe Stadium where they used to play the Pro Bowl and have Bruno Mars concerts and everything like that, it self-condemned itself. So they said it was unsafe, and it was falling apart. The thing is, it's a metal stadium, and they built it right by the ocean, and so it started to rust. But the theory was when they built the place was that it would rust to a point and stop. Kind of like how cancer just goes and just stops on its own. Well, it didn't happen. It kept rusting away, and then they finally had to close it down. And it was they had the money to build a new one, new stadium, but it's just taking so long to get it going and everything. So Hawaii had to turn their practice field into a stadium, and it's very inadequate. There's metal seats, and I guess the first couple of years was only 9,000 seat stadium, and now they expanded to 15,000. But it's not a great stadium. I guess because it's kind of tight, the seating and everything, and people in Hawaii, we need a lot of starts, so we're not very we're very wide people. So it's you almost have to sit sideways to watch a game here.
Yeah. So they basically turned their practice facility into their makeshift stadium?
Right, and what happened is because they had to put temporary stands in there that displaced the track team, so now they're building a track stadium next to it, but that used to be the football practice field, the grass practice field. So Hawaii only has a stadium with turf on it to have all their practices. And, it's a little bit difficult because it's a deep throwing offense. And when you have to split the field in half, Hawaii has to throw to the area where the offensive linemen aren't working out when they do 7-on-7 drills and stuff like that. So it's been a challenge for Timmy Chang, the head coach, to kind of figure out where everybody should be during practices.
Well, you just brought up the man, Timmy Chang, legendary quarterback at Hawaii. He's starting his third year as the head coach. What are your thoughts on the direction he's taking the team?
Well, he first had to rebuild it. Ty Graham was actually a really good coach, his predecessor, but was a little bit stricter for the athletes of today, and it just didn't really work out. And there were a lot. I think Hawaii led the nation in players entering the transfer portal after Graham left, and so they had to rebuild. And that's so Timmy spent probably the first 2 years of just trying to get the team together and trying to get some NIL money together. And now it looks like it's finally, he's running the offense he wants to run. He brought back the run and shoot, the real old style run and shoot that he used to run with Gene Jones. And I think now he feels comfortable. They brought in Dennis Thurman as the defensive coordinator. He was defensive coordinator with the Jets and Bills, and he worked with Deion Sanders at Colorado. So it sounds like they finally have the right coaches, and they're starting to recruit players to the system now.
You brought up a good point. That leads into my next question. They were 5-8 last year, 3-5 in conference, and they didn't have as much turnover this past offseason. With what they are returning, do you think they can make that step up? Do you think that they can maybe compete for the Mountain West title?
I think so. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Braden Shager. Shager entered the portal for 3 days, changed his mind, and then decided to come back. And he's got a pretty good arm, and the system really seems to fit him. And he's really coming along. And he's a tough kid, and he's a good player. And as you know, his deep passes are called Shager bombs. So
I love that.
It's kind of a fun little thing that they got going, and he's He's a great guy. His mom, by the way, is a UCLA graduate, and she's at practice today, but she's rooting for Hawaii. She loves her son.
Nice. Yeah, I heard that. I was watching the Delaware State Hawaii game, and they brought that up. I'm like, that is an amazing nickname for those long bombs.
In fact, so he I think he sells as part of his NIL deal. He sells Shaker Bomb shirts and other apparel.
Sweet.
But the company that he works for is he doesn't get to meet the guy, but the company it's under it's run by Lil Wayne. So Lil Wayne is his
nice.
I guess his agency manager.
Oh, brilliant. Well, with what you've seen last year and what you saw this past weekend, how good can he be? How far can he take Hawaii?
He's a really strong guy, and a lot of times he was just passing into the pocket and everything. But now they're letting him run more, and he squats 450, and he's got a combination of a pretty strong arm, and he's a pretty tough guy to bring down. And he kind of broke out his new stiff arm move now, so he's got that as part of his weapons. And so it should be kind of interesting to see how he does this year. They have a very small quarterback room. They only have 4 quarterbacks in it this year, but the team's made the team a lot tighter. And I think the first year Timmy had like 9 quarterbacks in camp, and he's such a nice guy. He was practicing with them all, so it's hard for a lot of guys to get reps. And he's finally learned that he's got to be Steve Kerr and not play everybody. And so he's shortened the rotation, and I think that's really kind of helped the players and the receivers because they're starting to get more reps. But fewer players are getting more reps.
Yeah, and it seemed like in the first half, more specifically the first quarter, it looked like they have the makings. They had the setup to be kind of an explosive offense, and it kind of opened up later. And as you said, he uses legs a lot more. Do you think he could be a very effective dual threat quarterback, or is he going to be more of a pocket presence?
I think he'll be more of a dual threat quarterback. They don't run any RPOs anymore, but he does have the ability to run, and he'll run a lot of keepers and draws. And I think he ran a little bit more in the opener because there's this the way the stadium works is there's this big area where they have the beach volleyball practice courts and everything. So the wind just comes right through there, and I think it was on that side of the field is really making it difficult to throw some passes. There's a lot of crosswinds, so he's running more because it was hard to throw. I believe it's like 35 mile gusts last week, so it was hard to throw against that kind of crosswind. So that's why he ran a little bit more. So I think I guess the coin flip is going to be a big strategy this game because it depends where you are and when you get where you'll be throwing to in the fourth quarter.
Who else should UCLA and future opponents be aware of?
They have a receiver, Dekel Crowdis. He's transferred from Kentucky, and he's really fast, and he's kind of been a breakaway guy, and it's just another threat. And their running back, Tylen Hines, moved to wideout. He's still been struggling as a wideout, but he's pretty dynamic as a kickoff and punt returner. I think he had a 44-yard touchdown on a punt return last week. It was the first UH punt return for a touchdown in 12 years. So it looks like he's a threat that can get him the ball more on offense.
The what can you say about the defense? It seemed like they again, just maybe needed a bit of time to get things going. I wouldn't say they struggled a little bit against Delaware State, but what can this defense do for this team for this season?
Well, they had trouble with the pass rush last year, so they really put an emphasis on getting more edge rushers and developing them. But the heart of the defense is the linebacker group, and the linebacker group is called the Lions Den, and the coach who coaches them actually sends videos of lions like hunting down and killing hyenas and stuff like that
yes!
every morning. So that is their morning wake up where they'll get videos of
that's hardcore
lions killing things. Yeah, it's not Lion King stuff. It's just like real. Lions Week Discovery Channel stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing.
In fact, he was a little upset that I wasn't. He thought I was kind of dragging on my writing. So Chris Brown actually sent me a video of on game day of a lion eating. And he wants his writers to be better too. So that's inspiring when coaches send you pictures of people, animals killing other animals in the morning.
This is definitely not a vegan-friendly program. Even us covering UCLA, we don't know what we're going to get from UCLA, but we do know some of the players, and UCLA is returning. I don't know if you've seen much of UCLA's offense from last year, but they're returning some pretty athletic players, starting quarterback, starting running back, their top 2 receivers from last season. What have you seen from UCLA, and do you think how can Hawaii's defense slow them down?
Well, I think it's so dynamic. I was just impressed by it. It looked like some guys were ready to leave the program, and then they came back, and I was kind of impressed with that. And the one that we're kind of surprised with is we noticed that Titus Mokiao Malala. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
We still have trouble on our side with his brother, but we're surprised that he didn't play much last year. Didn't play at all last year, and I think that's been kind of a surprise. And but I guess he's listed as a starter, but I think Hawaii's been having a little trouble trying to scout some of the guys who they don't know who are going to be out there.
Yeah, as far as Titus, there was some stuff behind the scenes, not horrible, but yeah, he didn't play at all last year. But yet, at the end of 2020, he was definitely having more of a productive season. But yeah, UCLA has they're pretty. A lot of people, especially Big Ten media, they're not giving UCLA a lot of credit, but they are saying a lot of them I've heard are saying that their receiver group is really good. So we don't even know, but hey, UCLA might air it out. They're definitely going to be doing some sort of West Coast offense, but even we don't know what's going on. But lastly,
the other thing too is I think Hawaii's. UCLA's defense has some familiar elements for Hawaii. Ikaika Malloy used to be an assistant coach in Hawaii. He grew up in Hawaii, and Brian Norwood is a former UH player. He's also on the defense, and their free safety Brian Addison is the son of Brian Addison, the late Brian Addison.
Yeah.
Who's a great safety here at Hawaii. So one of the best safeties in program's history. So there's a lot of familiarity with players from, or at least the system or the backgrounds of people from on UCLA's defense.
Oh, definitely. Lastly, what are your predictions for this game, and then what are your predictions for Hawaii going forward?
Well, Hawaii's actually, because of the Hawaii exemption, they were actually allowed to play 13 regular season games. They chose to play 12, but because of the stadium, they've had some scheduling trouble. So they're playing 2 FCS teams this year. So there are 3 byes this year. So I think injuries and fatigue have been sort of a problem for Hawaii in the past. And I don't think it'll be the case this year because there are so many byes, and they're playing two of the games in August. So. The rest of the season they're only playing 10 games and with 3 byes, so there'll be a lot of rest for them. So I think should be interesting. I think it should be a close game, especially because Hawaii's rarely on real national TV. So I think it's going to be should be a competitive game. I don't know what the score will be, but it should be a competitive game.
Well, thank you very much. That was Stephen Tsai of the Honolulu Star Advertiser. Thank you so much. You can check him out on Twitter at Stephen Tsai, STEPHENTSAI. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the game.
I do it. By the way, and anytime you want me to have the linebackers coach send you some videos of lions killing things, let me know.
That would be amazing. Stephen, thank you very much.
Take care.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Your entire life has prepared you to publicly fail. You're just failing to see that right now.
What a shame.
So, I just came out of the Stephen Tsai interview, which I'm very happy that Mike did. It's very cool. And right after he recorded that interview, me and Mike had a wonderful little bit of banner talking about the U of H versus UCLA game, UCLA going to Hawaii. And we gave our score predictions, and Mike gave the predictions of all the other co-hosts of the show tonight, what they thought would happen on the University of Hawaii game. And then, because this second show has like 70 parts to it, and I have to edit and do all these other things to it. I was kind of playing around with everything, and apparently I forgot to save the little bit where me and Mike actually do our score predictions. So I am in a giant, spiral of failure right now.
I lost my mojo.
And I'm not happy with myself, and I'm just going to really briefly give my notes over Hawaii right now and then give you the score predictions and then try to put this podcast together so you guys can listen to it. We still did about 2.5 hours of potting for you guys, so I hope you enjoy it. But I would just let you know I am not happy with myself. I am actually kind of pissed, and in my brain, it's like, just like, suck balls mountain.
Oh my God, my guys suck balls. You know it. If I suck balls, you are king of suck balls mountain.
And that's me, and I'm sorry for that.
Well, I'm sorry, all right.
But with that being said, talking about the Hawaii game, I had asked Mike what he thought about the Delaware State game, and we both watched it on our different streams over the weekend. And to me, the Hawaii game, it really was. They came out and struggled a little bit. We talked about the run and shoot offense. It wasn't firing on all cylinders, and the offense struggled very much in the first half. They scored on their second drive and then didn't score the rest of the half. And I thought Hawaii's defense came out and played pretty darn well for the most part in the first half, but they just weren't getting any help from the Hawaiian offense. And by the end of the half, Delaware just kind of got a couple breaks, a couple lucky plays, and they were able to break through, score a touchdown going into the half, and they came out in the second half, scored a touchdown, tied up the game, and it was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But I think it was more of a matter of Hawaii let Delaware kind of hang around and then make some plays, rather it was Delaware being, kind of in the same class as Hawaii. Hawaii goes on from there to score 21 straight points and then put the game away, and all was right with the world for Hawaii. With that being said, something that I disagreed with. I was listening to Podcast Champions today, and I heard the anarchist.
I'm a bomb throwing anarchist now.
Talking about how he thought that looking at the field, he thought that Delaware State looked like they lined up or matched up pretty well physically with Hawaii. And I don't know, that's his opinion. I kind of disagree with that. I actually wrote down in my notes when I was watching the game in the first half that, Delaware really had no reason to be in the game other than, being like a super gritty performance and kind of like building momentum. But Hawaii looked big and strong and fast on defense to me. They have a couple big dudes in the middle. They have some fast linebackers running around. And so Delaware doesn't, Hawaii, to me and to my eyes, looked noticeably bigger than the Delaware team. That's something that I don't think will happen in this game, UCLA versus Hawaii. Like, I don't think UCLA will have that much of an eyeball size advantage over the Rainbow Warriors. So, like I said, you can draw your own opinion from that, but that's just how I saw it. As far as the rest of that Delaware State game kind of went, or what the impact was, with Hawaii, I thought they have actually kind of a similar defense to UCLA in that they have a couple big guys in the middle, Sauce Williams and Sakona, a couple of 300-pounders there in the middle, and maybe just like UCLA, not much on the edge as much so, but they also have, like I said, they had some good linebacker play. And we'll have to see how the Bruins do coming out. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Bruins kind of struggle in the same way that Hawaii did in this game, just because it's a new offense coordinator. The first time they're running out there. But it would be awesome if they came out and, me and Mike talked about this. It was really good potting. I'm sorry, it's gone in the ether now. We were talking about like what would happen if, we wouldn't be surprised if they struggle, but what would happen if they come out like Jim Moore's first team, Brett Hundley's first team against Nevada in 2012, and Brett Hundley rips a 72-yard touchdown run, and the game is on. Actually, it wasn't Nevada, it was Rice. Sorry about that. So all in all, I figure you probably have to assume that Hawaii is going to be much better in their second game. Now they've got to work out the kinks. Their wide receiver core is supposed to be very, very good. It's kind of like, we think UCLA's got a good receiving core for the Big Ten. Well, they have a really good receiving core for the Mountain West. Like I said, Titus's brother is there. And then they also have that kid that scored the punt return, Tyler Hines, who's a converted wide receiver or converted running back into wide receiver. So they got weapons. They're probably going to play better. Now they got a little bit of the kinks worked out. Meanwhile, UCLA's coming in. It's their first game, and they got to work out the kinks a little bit. So I think the Bruins, in order to win the game, they're definitely have to play well. They're going to have their worst game and be successful in this one because it's the opening day for the new offense with a new head coach, new protocols, new everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a similar game to what Hawaii had against Delaware State. We need Bruin fans need to hope that the defense is kind of up to the task of defending Hawaii early, just in case there's a little bit of a letdown from the offense. And then hopefully by the time, we're a third of the way through the game or midway through the game, the Bruins offense kind of starts kicking butt. And if they don't do that, if it's not a struggle and they come out and just kind of kick the crap out of them, then that's, so much better. But as far as the predictions go, I just went very simple. I'm saying that I feel like it's going to be a game that's kind of like the game that Hawaii's had against Delaware. So I'll predict a score of 35-14 Bruins. The boys were very, very similar. Mike, and this is all on our Twitter feed if you want to look at that, but Mike is 38-14 Hawaii. Jamaal is 34-17 Hawaii. Jim is 38-21 Hawaii. And Bill is 35-10 Hawaii. So we all kind of see the game kind of the same way, and we'll see how it goes. So I, once again, am just very, very upset. It's like 10:40. I still haven't published the first episode, and I don't like re-recording things, especially when I thought we had almost, it was like the greatest podcast that ever was, right? And now it's in the ether. But it was just one segment that I lost. But I knew with all these moving parts, I was going to lose something. And sure enough, I did it. So super lame. I suck. And let's get on to a super cool report from Leo, the library guy, talking about men's and women's soccer.
Hey, what's Bruin Show? It's Leo from the library. ¿Estás listo por el fútbol? Yes, it's already football season as women's soccer and men's soccer seasons are both underway. And women so far are 4-0. The men have started and they are 1-0-1. So that's 1 win, no losses, and 1 tie. The women so far have looked decent. They won their first game against Long Beach State 3-0. Against UC Riverside, 3-0. Against Cal Poly, 1-0. And against Santa Clara last Sunday, which is yesterday, 1-0. We have a few questions. I was wondering who's going to be our new goalkeeper because our goalkeeper from last year, Nico Purcell, I did not expect her to leave the team and go join a USL club in Brooklyn. And she was a sophomore. So I was wondering who our new goalkeeper was going to be. Our goalkeeper is a graduate student from Stanford, Ryan Campbell. So since our coach is it's her third year coming from Stanford, I'm sure there's a connection there. And we needed a goalkeeper with experience, and here we are. And we have some players out with injury so far. Lexi Wright on our left wing is we haven't seen her play yet, and she provides both speed and quality on that side. And Sunshine Fontes, a 6-year senior or 6-year graduate student, who's our 10, our attacking midfielder. She has not come back from her ACL injury yet. So I don't know if she's training or what, but we haven't seen her take the field yet. I'm assuming she's still recovering, but hopefully she'll take the field sometime this season. And then we've also incurred some injuries in games. In the 6th minute of our second game against UC Riverside, our right back, Io Uka, sustained some sort of either glute or hamstring injury because that's what she was holding. And being one of our outside backs on the right side, she is the fastest player on the team. And so you need those muscles to run. And she hasn't played in the Cal Poly or Santa Clara game. So far, it's looking she's out for a bit. And then in the last game against Santa Clara, both of her replacements are actually our left back, Quincy McMahon, who's the second fastest player on the team, has moved to the right side. So and then both of Quincy's replacements on the left both got injured in the Santa Clara game. The freshman defender Nikki Fraser got hurt, and then her replacement, Paloma Daubert, also got hurt. So we are running out of outside backs, and that is a problem. So hopefully that will be rectified. What else? Oh yeah, we still have questions in the midfield, particularly what is called the sixth, or our defensive midfielder. That spot was manned by Ali Lemos for the past 2 years, and she left to go join the Orlando Pride of the NWSL this year and is playing for them. And I knew we weren't going to have her for more than a couple of years because she's a good player. She's technical. She makes good decisions. Six was not her original position coming into college. She was an attacking midfielder, but she came in and was great and provided defense. Like wasn't a destroyer, someone who's rugged defensively, but she could play defense. But she was great distributing the ball and was our set piece taker. So we are missing her this year. So that position has been manned by various players. Hopefully, including this past game. One of our forwards, one of our very creative forwards, Bridget Marin Valencia, was manning that position. So hopefully, we'll figure out who's going to play that position because it's been a couple of freshmen so far. So we're plugging along in women's soccer, but the Death Star is not fully operational yet. And as for the men have they've looked good. They had the 2-0 win against Loyola Marymount to start the season was great. The 2 wins were both off direct free kicks from one of our new graduate midfielders, Henry Caceres. He went each kick was taken from similar spots, and he went upper right both times and beat the goalkeeper both times. And the set pieces were they were well executed. I think part of the design was to get some of our players moving, to get the goalkeeper's eyes moving, and the kick just beat him both times, and it was fantastic. And we had actually a couple more chances. We could have scored 4 or 5 goals in this game. He made a couple good. The LMU goalkeeper made a couple good saves, and we were just needed to be a little more clinical. And in the James Madison game, even though it was a 0-0 tie, I actually thought we looked good. We played well in the first half, and James Madison they played better, more on the front foot in the second half. We were a little more defensive and direct, which actually kind of surprised me because we like to play possession, and play through out of the back. So, but I guess because James Madison had a little more of the ball in the second half, and we had to, I guess, be more direct. But what I think was, despite that, we had better chances at goal. We just didn't finish them. There was some nice passing. Really, when our passing was crisp to get the ball upfield in the build, we just didn't finish, and that was our only downfall in the game. Sometimes you'll get a 0-0 tie. James Madison, even though we were the home team, James Madison was ranked higher. So, but I've liked what I've seen of the men so far. I feel very comfortable with our defense. We have an Italian center back, and if anyone of you knows Italian soccer, they produce good defenders. And then there's a graduate. The other center back's a graduate, and he got a little hurt in the LMU game, but he came back for the James Madison game and looked fine and healthy. So that's good. And then our defensive midfielder is probably my favorite player to watch, Tarun Karamucci, who actually wears number 6. And he had to play a center back in the LMU game after one of our starters got hurt, and he played that fine. But I like him at the 6 because he provides defensive cover, but he's really technical and can distribute the ball, and he always makes the right decision, like what you need when we're building out of the back with a defensive midfielder. But just like he's athletic and can provide defensive cover. And he's a combination destroyer and distributor, which is that's rare at this level of soccer for college. And hopefully, we'll have him all 4 years. Maybe not. He may go to either a lower level European league or maybe one of the MLS teams eventually. But he's going to be a pro eventually, I think. But not at a really high level. But he'll be able to play soccer and make a little money at it. So anyway, that's what's happening in soccer so far. The women have a big game on Wednesday against BYU at home at 7:00. Come out and support them. Women's volleyball starts their season on Friday, August 30th, again at Georgia Tech. The game's at 4 p.m. on the ACC network. And then I see that also cross country is starting against UC Riverside on Friday, also August 30th. So, yeah. So, and then there's the men have a game also on Friday, August 30th, 7 o'clock. And apparently it's the kids' night game. So if you have kids, you can get free tickets. The info is somewhere on the website or somewhere. That was announced at the game when I was there on Sunday. So anyway, hope you're all doing well, and I'll talk to you guys later. Go Bruins!
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Leo, the library guy, for dropping that on us. Of course, this is the What's Bruin Show, everything, all things about Bruin sports, as Bill used to say. So I always love hearing Leo's recaps of the non-revenue sports, and this time it was a lot of soccer talk. He did want me to share a couple links in the show notes, which I will do that. He says 2 things that he neglected to mention that he hopes we add are to check out the UCLA Athletics YouTube page for highlights for Lily Real's goal at Cal Poly and Sophia Cook's goal against Santa Clara. He actually later sent me those links, so those will be in the show notes. So Real had an awesome run from just outside our penalty area, downfield in the opponent's penalty area, lost the ball against triple team, recovered the ball, and then still managed to beat the goalie. He also says that Cook's goal, the video doesn't quite do it all justice, but he said it was a total banger. So those are in the show notes for you to look at. Just look down below on your phone right now, and you can check out those awesome goals. Once again, thank you to Leo, the library guy. You are the man. Thanks for coming through, and please keep sending that stuff.
Go.
UCLA, fight, fight, fight. Go Bruins.
Go.
UCLA, fight, fight, fight. Go Bruins!
So I'm kind of throwing together my thoughts now that I deleted that segment with Mike last night. It is Wednesday morning, and I'm talking to you from work. But in regards to this game against Hawaii, really, there's only, talking about UCLA being anonymous coming into the season, there's only really one outcome that will change the Bruins' anonymous profile, and that's if they struggle or lose to Hawaii. Otherwise, they're not going to get any credit for this game if they win or win big or have a win like Hawaii had, probably. So they'll have their opportunity to be on the big stage soon. They have that 3-game stretch where they're going to be featured on all the shows. But the Bruins will stay under the radar on this game if everything goes as planned, if everything works well. Now, because I screwed up that sound from last night, it did allow me to remember that I forgot to play something with Mike that I wish I would have played. And I guess now I have room to play it here. But unless you listen to the Hawaii football pre- and post-game after watching the game against Delaware State, you would have missed out on this wonderful nugget that was brought by their broadcast team. The show is hosted by Rob DeMello, and it has former Hawaii players Abu Ma'afala and Rich Miano. And they were just talking about how Hawaii did against Delaware State. And it was a fun listen. I always like hearing local broadcasters talk about their team. But they started talking about the weather for the game because it was really windy and rainy, and it was really just weird Hawaiian weather for most of that game. And they started talking about games they played in the elements. And Miano shared an unbelievable story about when he was playing in the NFL. So here it is.
I'm going to move forward to my last year in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. We played in the playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. That game was so cold that I learned to put hot chili pepper underneath my uniform to go with all the other layers that you had. And I literally was feverish heating on the plane after, because that hot chili pepper is not something they do made up grandmother's tale. That stuff worked, and my body was boiling, bro. And it was one of my best games in terms of, like, all they did was run the ball. And when you're a strong safety and they're running lead and power and toss and all those other things, you're in on all the tackles and stuff. So you just keep hearing your name reverberate, whatever else, because there's no passing, because it was that type of weather. And it was just a physical, violent game, and one that you need to get in the cold tub as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, especially when you're covered in chili pepper, right? You want to get into that shower as soon as you can. And
So I've been a fan of football for a long, long time. And I played, high school and college and semi-pro football. And I've never heard of anybody rubbing themselves with chili pepper heading into a cold game. But it is super freaking just a mind-blowing story. I love it. As someone who has been pepper sprayed and knows exactly what that feels like. In fact, I've been pepper sprayed in the last calendar year. So I can tell you how unpleasant of an experience that is. If I think about what I would do in 20-degree weather in the snow or freezing wind or something, do I think maybe I would sign up for pepper spray at that point, which is the equivalent of what this guy did? He rubbed hot chili pepper all over his body, which is basically what getting pepper sprayed is. Would I do that? I don't know. But before I heard that story, I was absolutely not. And now, I don't know, kind of sounds like a good idea. So hope you enjoyed that nugget. That was brilliant. And once again, I'm sorry for killing mine and Mike's Hawaii prediction segment.
What is happening here? Why are you taping them? Well, because they got great banter. They jib-jab. Jib-jab, jib-jab, jib-jab. I use it for the car. Because my stereo's busted.
We have a lot of interesting things to say, so,
Oh, shit. Well, I feel like the conversation we've been having in the last 5 minutes is a lot more interesting than the shit they're talking about on the radio.
But now we're going to do a total time warp and go backwards in time to when Bill and Jamaal and Jim and Mike, actually, because now nobody's here except for me in the What's Bruin studios. So go back to earlier in the night when everybody was here, and let's get to Bill's favorite part of the show.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
When will then be now?
Soon.
All right, guys, this has been a wonderful night with friends here in the What's Bruin studios. First time in a while, first time in a long time, and even virtually. Jamaal, we love you as well. But all good things, even double episodes of multiple hours of the What's Bruin show have to come to an end. So it's, once again, Bill's favorite part of the show. Bill?
Yes.
What time is it?
What's Bruin with you?
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
So, Jamaal, you're remote from Arizona. We'll give you first dibs on What's Brewing with you. Guys, there's 5 of us, so let's just keep it tight, fellas. That's my only request. Jamaal, what's brewing with you?
Going up to Phoenix to watch the Dodgers play against the Diamondbacks.
Go Dodgers!
Won't be the first time I go to that stadium, but it will be the first time I see the Dodgers play in that stadium. So, fun little Labor Day weekend series. So I'm looking forward to that. You know me, I love baseball. So, yeah, that's what's brewing with me.
That's very cool. Thank you, Jamaal. And by the way, you just dropped a West Coast Bias today. That's in your feed as well, so enjoy that. I think he talked a little bit of Shohei Ohtani, 40-40, and all that good stuff. That makes you tingle, doesn't it, Godfather? You love that stuff. Don't you love the Dodgers?
I do not love the Dodgers, but you got to admire Shohei. He could easily become the first ever 50-50 guy. That's pretty impressive.
Very, very cool. With that being said, Godfather, what is brewing with you?
I recently went to a Big Ten welcome day over at UCLA.
Oh, hey,
all right. It was held inside the West Alumni Center.
Oh, yeah, we knew you went to this.
Yeah, and they gave out these T-shirts, these beautiful awesome T-shirts, which have UCLA and the Big Ten logo on them, with no commercial on the back. So that was a nice giveaway. And Martin Jarman was there, and he spoke, and he stuck around to take individual questions. And I went up to him afterwards, and I said to him, it looks like the Big Ten really didn't do UCLA a lot of favors this year with the schedule, making them travel back and forth. My suggestion would be for future years, might be a good idea for you to ask the Big Ten to have UCLA have 2 road games back there in the East before classes begin for UCLA, which are much late September, early October.
Yeah.
And that would make sense. It would help out the truck guy, too.
It help us out making travel plans. Easier to travel in September than it is in freaking, the holiday season.
And you know what? I expected Martin Jarman to say something, at least in passing, even if he didn't believe it, say, well, that's not a bad idea. We'll take that under consideration. But he didn't say that. His answer was, oh, it's all computer generated.
That's a shame.
So I was disappointed in that response.
I'll talk to him.
I was a little disappointed, I have to admit. But
What a shame.
Other than that, I've been planning my football trips. This month of September coming up, I am fired up. I'm going to see my alma mater, Northwestern.
Go Cats.
On September the 6th. On September 14th, I'm planning to go to the Rose Bowl to see UCLA's first Big Ten game against Indiana.
Go Bruins.
And then 2 weeks later, I'll be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama to see Alabama versus Georgia.
Roll Tide, baby.
So what a month that's going to be. I'm fired up.
Jim, since you retired, your travel schedule has been the envy of all, especially all sports fans, college football fans in particular. And I'm just glad that you're here in your retirement, living the dream, continuing to live the dream. And I hope that you go to some great games this year because you've been to some doozies.
I have been to some doozies. That Iron Bowl last year, Alabama at Auburn was amazing, 4th and 31. That was an amazing thing. So I've been lucky. And if you go to Big Ten, if you go to SEC games, you got to stay in shape. You got to stay in shape. I got to stay in shape all year long because when you go to those games, you might very well have to stand for the entire game.
Yeesh. Okay.
They take it seriously.
Well, I'm in the front row at LSU.
So
UCLA.
nobody will be in front of you.
Nobody will be in front of me, but I'm looking forward to it. That's my first SEC game, and it's funny with the Godfather. Like I finally last year when I went to the Rose Bowl, the Nick Saban's last game. I have one of those games where I don't care what kind of college football fan you are. I have a game in my back pocket that I attended where I could say I went to that game, right? Yeah. And so it's very good. The Godfather's got like 1,700 of those. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So
I've been to some bad ones too.
Yeah. It's one of hey. You
As a
miss all the
UCLA
shots you don't
fan,
take.
everybody knows that.
Yeah, of course. Bill,
Yes.
what's wrong with you?
Oh, man. It's great to be here, guys. Let's talk about There's so many things that have transpired since the last time I've been on the show. But let's talk about something that just happened on this past weekend. Jake and I have been working, and I asked him.
Oh, Bill, I'm so sorry.
I asked him to join me for a triathlon. And I said, Jake, let's sign. This is months ago.
What a shame.
I said, let's sign up for the Santa Barbara on August 24th. Yeah, let's do it. So let's did it. We started training for it. Jake went to the next level. He did like a mock triathlon.
Actually, did the mock triathlon last week.
The last week, he bought his onesie. His mom got us not got us, but fixed up.
We're using my parents' old bikes, which are nice bikes,
to get us through the bike portion of the triathlon. And what happens? What happens on the day before? Hey, Jake, make sure you bring your helmet.
What a shame.
I call him and he's like, I'm like, Jake, what's wrong? I'm sick, Bill.
It was terrible.
I was like, really, Jake? Are you serious? Yeah, I can't, I'm going to do my best. And I was like, no, look, I don't want a halfway healthy Jake on out there. And even though it's Santa Barbara, it's beautiful, but he'll be
Bill,
hawking
you were
up
very
along.
gracious. You were very gracious.
So hopefully, Jake, we need to do another triathlon. When I say another one, we need to do our first one another time.
Yes.
So let's get that going. I'll let you pick the next one, man. Okay?
I'm with you, and I'm going to do it, and I apologize profusely. It's my bad. It's literally like the day after I did my little mini triathlon to test out how I was going to do, and I did really well. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting sick. And I would just white knuckle it through the whole week, hoping I'd get better, and I didn't.
It's all good.
I apologize, Bill.
It's all good.
I'm sorry.
So, Mike, what's brewing with you?
Well, it's been a hell of a 2 weeks just because getting back to real work, that's always a hell of a thing. But my daughter, my kids starting school again, but my daughter, she had her first cheerleading.
Let's go.
Performance at Maranatha's first game last Thursday. The Minutemen. Should probably change it to Minute People. I'm just saying.
Jesus Christ, Mike. Jesus Christ,
they won. They took down. I'm talking.
They talked about it's a specific.
They took down Lakeside High School. I believe it was 35-28. They were losing 18-0 in the first quarter. Came back, destroyed. My daughter was in awe. She was nervous. She performed amazingly, and afterwards she was just on cloud nine. So now I told her, "This is it. This is performance." And now she goes, "I get it. And now she has another game this week. She's ready for it, and I'm like, let's just do it. Have fun. My daughter Poppy, she's the one that I thought would not really be into sports, but last week she's like, Dad, I'm going to try out for volleyball. I'm like, do it. Apparently she did pretty well. She didn't think she did well, but she doesn't think she does. I need to get more self-esteem in my kids. They're very happy and silly, but I need them to be a little bit more. Yeah, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. But from what my other daughter said, is like she did pretty good. So most likely she will make the team. Hugo is looking to take on tennis. So I got some sportos right now. So that's kind of what's been taking my time lately, and on top of that, just getting ready this week for UCLA's first game. I'm excited. So yeah, that's that's what's been going on with me, family stuff. So yeah, Jake.
Very good. I'll just keep it short and sweet. My son Malcolm played his first high school football game last week. His first play on offense, they scored a touchdown, like a 50-yard touchdown. He was tight end. He threw a block on it. And then his first play on defense, he ended up getting a tackle for a loss, 10-yard tackle for a loss. And you have to listen closely, but I have the What's Bruin microphones were there. So this was his highlight from that game.
Malcolm Merrifield.
So he is number 88, and if you couldn't hear that, he said, number 88 causing lots of problems. Malcolm Merrifield. And then later in the game, he had 2 tip passes, and they were talking about putting his big paws up there. So it's his first game. He's on JV, whatever. It's so cool to watch him out there competing. This is the first sport he's ever played, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Where he has a game this Thursday, I'll be going down somewhere in the city to watch him play, and I already bought a camera to start chopping up the film and all that stuff. And
but you make fun of me.
Well, what do I make fun of you for?
Oh, because I go to everything.
You got a camera? I have a camera if you want to borrow.
No. Ask me how many football practices I've gone to, Bill.
No.
Bill goes to every practice.
No, I don't. I actually don't go anymore.
You used to, though?
I used to.
Yeah, that's what I used to get on you about, not going to your kids' events. We're not going to start this. We're at the end of What's Bruin, but it's like, it's just for this particular kid. He's starting his sports experience. It's very, very cool.
Look, I agree. I think I'm all for this, and I want you to get your camera. Look, I've been to volleyball tournaments where guys have 3 camera setups. They have a GoPro, an iPhone, and like another special camera all on one stick.
That's great. Okay. I don't have the skills for that, but I'm going to do something. But like I said, I already have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of softball footage of my daughters. Yes. But this is the first sport Malcolm's played. So he ran track last semester, but that was like 3 minutes of sports over 3 months. But it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it, and it's wonderful. So anyways, guys, this has been absolutely wonderful. Jimmy, thanks for coming in the studio. You're always welcome. It's great to have you here. Thank you. Jamaal, thank you very much for being on the phone for 17 hours. We really appreciate you and your stalwartness.
Happy to do it.
And Billy B, obviously, one of the OG trio.
Yes.
And you're always welcome back into the studio, of course.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
The mic's always hot for you.
Thank you.
Until next time, guys, you didn't do it last time. Can you guys give me a meaty cheesy boys? Like, could we do that off the top? Is that possible?
Dear God. I guess it's the 11th anniversary, Mike.
All right,
let's do it.
Wait, see if I can remember. Wait, I'm serious. I'm trying to remember. Oh, shit. No, seriously, how does it start?
Girl, you know that there's one thing that I love.
But it's not you I'm thinking of.
I want the ultimate cheeseburger.
Break it down.
Cheese, cheese, and that's it.
Baby, you know it's hot and juicy.
'Cause Jack won't make it until you order it.
I want the ultimate cheeseburger.
That's college. That is epic college.
Hell yeah. Still in sync, baby.
All the way back, Laval Commons, 1998 to 2002. That was 40 times a day for me.
Jesus, yeah, right?
Jake would be like, shut the hell up.
Amongst other songs. So
that's where the What's Bruin Show comes from. That's the genesis of it. And we love you all, and thank you so much. And let's go Bruins this fine Big Ten season. Go out there and let's get a bowl game, guys. Until next time, go Bruins.
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, bro, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.